I am Anna, 25 years old, and 2 months ago, I inherited my grandmother's entire legacy, a sprawling lavender farm and apothecary business that shaped my life. My parents, who walked out when I was 10, leaving only a crumpled note, showed up at my doorstep claiming they deserved it all. When my mother said, "We're still your legal guardians, Anna, hand over the farm or we'll take it," I didn't cry or beg them to reconsider. Instead, I clutched the journal my grandmother left me, smiled, and said I needed time to think, knowing they'd underestimated me. 9 days later, their 17 missed calls lit up my phone, but that was just the start of my plan to make them regret their greed. They thought they could bully me into submission, but I'd learned strength from the woman who raised me. I'm standing my ground, and they'll learn what happens when you cross someone who's been waiting for justice. If you want to see a family's true colors exposed, stick around for this story on total revenge, the scent of lavender. And cedar wood filled the air as I stepped onto the creaking porch of Rose's apothecary, my keys jingling like wind chimes. In my hand, the morning sun spilled over the Vermont hills, painting the 5-acre lavender fields in shades of purple and gold, their rose swaying gently in the breeze. My grandmother Rose had built this place from a single plot, her hands calloused from years of planting and blending oils, her heart poured into every bottle sold. Today, the shop felt heavy with her absence, the glass jars of salves and soaps, catching the light like silent sentinels. My husband Sam was in the barn sorting dried lavender bundles, steady presence, a quiet comfort since Rose's passing from heart failure 6 weeks ago. My parents, Beth and Carl, stood by the counter, their faces unfamiliar yet painfully recognizable, scanning the shelves as if appraising an auction lot. "Anna, can you grab us some of that chamomile tea you sell?" Beth called, her voice syrupy, flipping through a product catalog without looking up. I set down a crate of fresh lavender sachets. Their fragrance sharpened my nose and adjusted my apron, still dusted with pollen from the morning's harvest. I just finished packing orders. "Beth," I said, wiping my hands on a rag, its texture rough against my skin. "Let me restock the shelves first, then I'll get the tea." Carl's eyes flicked up from his phone, his graying beard framing a frown that hadn't changed in 15 years. "It's one tea, Anna. Don't make a fuss," he said, his tone sharp, implying I was the problem for hesitating. A knot tightened in my stomach, memories of their late-night fights and sudden absence flooding back. I'd spent $50,000 of Rose's savings on therapy to heal from their abandonment, believing I'd moved on. "I need a minute to organize, Carl," I said, keeping my voice steady, though my hands shook slightly. Beth set the catalog down, her thin lips curling into a smile that didn't reach her eyes, and stepped closer, her cheap floral perfume clashing with the shop's earthy scent. "Anna, we're family. Let's not argue over tea. You know, we're here to help now." The shop's bell tinkled as a customer entered, a local picking up a custom order. Her boots tapping the hardwood floor Rose and I had polished every spring. The interruption let me breathe, steadying my pulse as I placed sachets on the display, their soft rustle grounding me. Beth leaned against the counter, her posture stiff, her eyes darting to the cash register as if calculating its contents. "What's going on, Anna? Why are you acting so distant?" she asked, her voice laced with a practiced concern that felt hollow. Carl pocketed his phone, his worn jacket crinkling, and crossed his arms, his gaze heavy with expectation. "Your mom's right. You're making this harder than it needs to be," he said, his words echoing the ultimatums I remembered from childhood. I looked at Beth, searching for the mother who once braided my hair, but saw only a stranger with an agenda. "I'm running my business, Beth. That's all," I said, my heart pounding but my tone firm, refusing to let them see my fear. Carl stepped closer, his boots scuffing the floor, his breath carrying the faint tang of stale coffee. As he loomed over me, "This isn't just your business, Anna. It's a family legacy. And we're here to make sure it's handled right," he said, his voice low and deliberate. I glanced at Sam through the shop's window, his silhouette moving in the barn unaware. Of the storm brewing inside, Rose left this to me. Carl, not you. I said, my fingers brushing the journal tucked in my apron. Its leather cover a lifeline. Beth's smile tightened, her hands fidgeting with her purse, her nails chipped and unpolished. Anna, we're still your legal guardians. We never signed away our rights, she said. Her words a calculated jab that made my chest tighten. You're 25, not a child. Sam's voice cut in as he entered, wiping his hands on his jeans, his calm presence anchoring me. Hand over the farm or we'll take it legally, Carl snapped, his face reddening, thinking he'd cornered me. I met his gaze, my voice steady despite the ache in my heart. I'll think about it. Give me a few days. Carl's jaw dropped, expecting immediate surrender, while Beth's eyes widened, her facade cracking like dry soil under pressure. I turned to the back office, my sandals soft on the floorboards Rose and I had sanded together. Their grain a map of our shared summers. The journal in my apron held Rose's final gift, a hidden letter I'd found last night, its words burning in my mind. I grabbed a canvas tote from the office shelf, its fabric worn from years of market trips with Rose, and packed deliberately. A sweater. Rose's recipe book. A photo of us in the lavender fields. Her smile wide as the horizon. From the shop, I heard Beth and Carl whispering, their voices sharp and urgent, plotting their next move as if I were still the 10-year-old they'd left behind. I slung the tote over my shoulder, my steps measured, and walked past them without a word, their silence heavy as I pushed open the door. The bell chimed, its note sharp in the morning air. As I stepped into the sunlight, the lavender fields, stretching before me like a promise. Sam followed, his hand brushing mine, a quiet signal we'd face this together. As I drove away from the farm, I'd fight to keep my truck rumbled down the dirt road to town, the lavender scent clinging to my clothes as I passed the general store where Rose used to trade recipes with locals. Memories flooded in, Beth's tearful fights, Carl's late nights at the bar. The note they left Anna, we can't stay. Rose will take you in. I'd spent $10,000 on college, funded by Rose's apothecary profits, and another $5,000 on my wedding to Sam, her gift to us despite her failing health. Every month I'd poured my heart into the farm, believing it was my way to honor her, never expecting Beth and Carl to return like vultures. The Willow Inn sat at the town's edge, its weathered sign swaying, its rooms a temporary refuge for travelers and, now, for me. I checked in, the clerk's familiar nod, a small comfort, and carried my tote to a corner room, its single window framing the distant hills. The bed creaked as I sat, the silence stark compared to the farm's hum of bees and rustling leaves. I opened Rose's journal, its pages filled with her neat script, and found the letter again, its words a call to action I couldn't ignore. Anna, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and trouble may have found you, Rose wrote, her words steady as her hands had been in the fields. I left you the farm and apothecary, 5 acres and a business worth $1 million. But your parents might come for it. She detailed their history. Carl's gambling debts, Beth's lies about needing money for medical bills, their demands for $20,000 when I was 12. I kept journals of their schemes hidden in the office safe to protect you, she wrote, listing a combination I hadn't known existed. My hands shook as I read, the weight of her foresight settling over me like a warm blanket. I called Sam, my voice low to avoid the thin motel walls, and asked him to check the safe at the farm. I'll go now, Anna, but be careful. They're still there, he said, his tone calm but urgent, promising to bring the journals to me. I sat back, the journal open on my lap, Rose's love and planning giving me the strength to face what was coming. Sam arrived an hour later, his truck kicking up dust in the inn's lot, a stack of leather-bound journals in his arms, their edges worn from years of Rose's careful notes. We sat at the room's small table, the journals spread out, each one a chronicle of Beth and Carl's attempts to exploit her generosity. One entry dated when I was 11. Read, Carl called. Asking for $15,000 for a new start, threatened to take Anna if I refused. Another from my high school years detailed Beth's claim of cancer. Disproved by Rose's private investigator, a lie to extract $30,000. My stomach churned. The betrayal deeper than I'd imagined. Their abandonment, not just neglect, but a calculated choice. Sam squeezed my hand, his calloused fingers grounding me as we read. His quiet strength a reminder I wasn't alone. "What's the plan, Anna?" he asked, his brown eyes steady, ready to follow my lead. "We find Rose's lawyer, protect the farm, and expose them," I said, my voice firm, knowing the battle was just beginning. I drove to the office of Rose's attorney, Margaret Cole, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor, her desk cluttered with legal pads and coffee mugs. The office smelled of ink and old paper, its walls lined with bookshelves, a stark contrast to the farm's open air. "Rose warned me your parents might resurface," Margaret said, pulling a file labeled with my name, its pages thick with legal documents. "She left the farm and business to you alone. No contest. But Beth and Carl could claim guardianship rights unless we act fast." She showed me adoption papers signed when I was 15, making Rose my legal mother, a secret she'd kept. "To spare me pain. You have no claim, Anna, but they'll try to bully you," she said, her voice steady as she outlined a cease and desist order. I nodded, clutching the journals, their weight a shield against my parents' lies. "File it, Margaret, and let's use Rose's evidence to stop them," I said, my resolve hardening as I pictured the farm's purple fields, mine to protect. Back at the inn, I spread the journals across the table, their pages a map of my parents' greed, each entry a piece of the puzzle Rose had left me. One journal detailed a $20,000 loan Carl never repaid. Another noted Beth's attempt to forge Rose's signature on a property deed when I was 13. My phone buzzed with missed calls. 17 now. Beth's voicemails alternating between pleas and veiled threats. "Kana, we just want to talk. Don't shut us out," one said, her voice trembling with false sincerity. Carl's were sharper. "You're making a mistake, Anna. We'll fight for what's ours." I deleted them, my hand steady, and called Margaret to confirm the cease and desist filing. "It's served tomorrow," she said, "but there. At the farm now, asking locals about its value." I looked at Sam, his jaw tight, and knew we had to move fast to protect Rose's legacy before they could twist the town against me. The next morning, sat at the inn's diner, the smell of bacon and coffee grounding me as I reviewed Rose's journals, their pages worn but clear. A familiar voice called out, "Anna, you holding up?" It was Clara, the postmistress who'd known Rose for decades, her apron stained from years at the counter. "Heard your parents are back sniffing around the farm," she said, sliding into the booth, her eyes kind but worried. I shared the basics. Their abandonment, their sudden return, their demand for the farm. "They tried to buy my silence years ago," Clara said, her voice low. "Offered me $2,000 to spread rumors about Rose's health." My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips, the betrayal cutting deeper with each revelation. "The town's with you, Anna. We know what Rose built," Clara added, her words a spark of hope. I thanked her, my mind racing, knowing the community's support could be my greatest weapon against Beth and Carl's schemes. By noon, I drove to the farm, parking across the road to watch Beth and Carl through the shop's window, their voices carrying as they spoke to a local realtor. They gestured at the fields, Carl pointing like he already owned them, Beth nodding with a practiced smile. My heart ached, not for them, but for the 10-year-old who'd waited for their return only to face this betrayal. Sam joined me, his hand on my shoulder, the journals tucked under his arm like ammunition. "Margaret's filing went through," he said, "the sheriff serving them now." As we watched, a patrol car pulled up and Deputy Tom, a regular, at the apothecary, handed Carl a manila envelope, his face stern. Beth's smile faltered, and Carl's hands shook as he read, their confidence crumbling like dry lavender buds. I gripped Rose's journal, its pages my guide, and knew this was just the beginning of making them pay for their greed. The sheriff's patrol car kicked up dust as it pulled away from Rose's apothecary, leaving Beth and Carl standing in the driveway. The manila envelope crumpled in Carl's fist. I watched from across the road, hidden in my truck. Rose's journal open on the passenger seat, its pages a roadmap of their greed and my resolve. Beth's face was pale, her hands clutching her purse like a lifeline, while Carl paced, his voice rising in sharp bursts I couldn't hear but could feel. Sam sat beside me, his steady breathing a contrast to my racing pulse, his hand resting on the stack of journals we'd pulled from Rose's safe. "They're rattled, Anna," he said, his voice low, his eyes fixed on their frantic gestures, "but they won't back down yet." I nodded, my fingers tracing Rose's handwriting. Her warning clear. "They'll fight dirty, Anna, but you're stronger than their lies." The lavender fields stretched before us, their purple rose swaying under the Vermont sun, a reminder of what I was fighting for. Whatever Beth and Carl were planning, I'd be ready. And they'd soon learn the cost of underestimating me. The drive back to the Willow Inn was quiet, the truck's hum blending with the distant buzz of bees from the fields we passed. Sam flipped through a journal, his brow furrowed as he read an entry from when I was 14, detailing Carl's attempt to borrow $10,000 for a business venture that never materialized. Rose documented everything. He said, his voice a mix of awe and anger, phone calls, letters, even a forged check for $5,000. I gripped the steering wheel, the leather worn smooth from years of deliveries, my mind replaying Beth's fake tears at the shop, her claim of guardianship. The cease and desist order was a start, but Rose's journals hinted at more, a deeper plan to protect me, one I hadn't fully uncovered. At the inn, I spread the journals across the table, their leather covers warm under the lamplight, each page a piece of evidence against my parents' schemes. Sam brewed coffee. It's bitter, scent filling the room, and we read late into the night, piecing together a history of betrayal that stretched back before they left me. "We need to show this to the town," I said, my voice firm. "Let everyone see who they really are." By morning, my phone buzzed with 23 missed calls, Beth's voicemails escalating from pleas to accusations. "Anna, you're tearing our family apart. Call me back," followed by, "You can't hide behind lawyers forever. We'll get what's ours." Carl's were colder, his voice sharp as broken glass. "You're making a big mistake. Anna, this farm should be ours, not some kids." I deleted them, my hand steady, and called Margaret Cole, Rose's attorney, her number now a lifeline. "In my contacts, they're at the farm again," I told her, the motel's thin walls amplifying the urgency in my voice. "Talking to realtors, acting like they own it." Margaret's tone was calm but resolute. The cease and desist was served. "They're violating it already. I'll file for a restraining order today." She paused, her voice softening. "Anna Rose left a video message. It's in a safe deposit box. I'll have it sent to the inn by noon." A video, another piece of Rose's plan, sent a shiver through me. Her foresight, a shield I was only beginning to understand. The video arrived in a small metal case, delivered by a courier who tipped his hat before leaving me alone in the motel room. Sam sat beside me as I connected the USB drive to my laptop, the screen flickering to life with Rose's face, her silver hair pulled back, her eyes sharp despite the illness that had weakened her. "Anna, if you're watching this, I'm gone. And your parents have likely returned for the farm," she said, her voice steady, the lavender fields visible through the window behind her. "I adopted you at 15, not just to protect you. But because you're my daughter in every way that matters, they have no legal claim, but they'll try to manipulate you." She leaned closer, her hands folded on her desk. "I've left evidence in my journals. There's more. A trust fund of $1.5 million hidden in a separate account. Use it to keep the farm yours. My breath caught. But some staggering, a secret Rose had kept even from me. Her trust, a weight, and a gift. Show the town who they are. Anna, she continued. The community will stand with you. Trust them. Trust yourself. The screen went dark and I sat frozen, Sam's hand on my shoulder. The journal in my lap now heavier with Rose's final words. I called Margaret. My voice shaking but resolute. Rose left a trust fund, $1.5 million, and a video. We need to use it. She didn't hesitate. Bring the video to my office. We'll draft a public statement and file charges for violating the cease and desist. They're digging their own grave. I drove to her office, the journals and USB drive in my tote, the Vermont hills blurring past as my mind raced with Rose's plan. Margaret's office was a haven of order, its shelves lined with legal books. The air thick with the scent of ink and coffee, grounding me as we watched the video again. This is powerful, Margaret said, her pen tapping the desk. We'll leak it to the local news, anonymized, and pair it with the journals. The town will rally behind you. She pulled out a trust agreement, confirming the $1.5 million in a secure account untouchable by anyone but me. Rose was meticulous. She said she knew Beth and Carl would try this. We'll use the video and journals to expose them. I nodded, my resolve hardening, picturing the farm's purple fields, mine to protect. As I prepared to show the town the truth by evening, Margaret had sent the video to the Vermont Gazette's blog, edited to protect my identity, but clear in its message. Rose's legacy was mine, and my parents were opportunists. The post went live at 6 p.m., and by 7 my phone buzzed with notifications, locals commenting. Anna's the heart of Rose's apothecary, and Beth and Carl are liars. We stand with Anna. Clara, the postmistress, called, her voice warm but urgent. The town's talking. Anna, they're at the diner, telling everyone you stole the farm from them. I thanked her, my heart racing, and drove to the diner, parking across the street. To watch Beth and Carl work the crowd, their faces animated as they spun lies about my greed. Sam squeezed my hand, his calloused fingers steady. They're desperate, Anna. This is our chance to fight back. I nodded, opening a journal too. An entry where Beth begged Rose for $25,000 for a fake medical bill. Her lies now ammunition. Let's meet Margaret tomorrow, I said. We'll plan a town meeting, show everyone Rose's video and journals. The diner's neon sign flickered, casting shadows on Beth and Carl's faces, their charm faltering as locals whispered, their support shifting to me. The next morning I woke to a text from Beth. Anna, meet us at the farm, 9 a.m. We can fix this as a family. My gut screamed trap. But Rose's video echoed in my mind, urging me to trust the community, to stand firm. I called Margaret, who insisted on backup. I'll have Deputy Tom nearby, record everything. Anna, don't go alone. Sam and I drove to the farm, the lavender fields glowing under the morning sun, their scent calming my nerves as we parked near the shop. Beth and Carl stood by the counter, Beth's smile forced, Carl's arms crossed, his eyes darting to the fields like he was already selling them. Anna, we saw the blog post, Beth said, her voice trembling with false hurt. Why are you doing this to us? Carl stepped forward, his boots heavy on the floor. You're making us look like monsters. Hand over the farm and we'll forget this nonsense. I hit record on the device in my pocket. My voice calm. Rose left this. To me, you abandoned me. You don't get to claim it now. Beth's tears started, her hands wringing the same purse she'd clutched yesterday. We were sick, Anna, depression, gambling. We didn't mean to hurt you. Carl's face softened. A salesman's trick I remembered from childhood. We're your parents. We deserve a second chance, not this public attack. I glanced at Sam, his jaw tight, his presence a shield as I spoke. You knew where I was for 15 years. You only came back for the farm, not me. Beth's sob broke. The silence, but it felt rehearsed, like the tears she'd shed when I was 10, promising to return. "We love you, Anna," she said, reaching for my hand, which I pulled back. "We just want to help you manage this." Carl nodded. "This business is too big for you. We'll run it right. You'll still get a share." Deputy Tom appeared. At the door, his badge glinting. "That's enough. You're violating the cease and desist. Step outside." Carl's face reddened, but he froze as Tom's hand rested on his holster. Beth's tears stopping abruptly as they followed him out. We watched from the porch as Tom served them a restraining order. Carl's hands shaking as he read, Beth whispering frantically in his ear. Sam's arm circled my shoulders, his warmth steadying me as I clutched Rose's journal. Its pages, my guide through this storm. "They're not done, Anna," Sam said, his voice low. "But the town's on your side. We'll win this." I nodded, my eyes on the lavender fields. There rose a testament to Rose's love, her trust in me to protect what she'd built. Margaret called as we drove back to the inn, her voice crisp. "The restraining order's in place, but they're spreading lies at the motel, saying you forged Rose's will." My stomach churned, their desperation growing. But Rose's video and journals were my armor, her $1.5 million trust fund, my shield. "Let's hold a town meeting tomorrow," I said. "Show the video, read the journals, let everyone see the truth." Margaret agreed, her tone resolute. "We'll do it at the community center, 7 p.m. The town will show up for you, Anna." The community center was packed the next evening, chairs filled with locals. Their faces a mix of curiosity and support. As I stood at the podium, Rose's video cued on a screen behind me. Clara, the postmistress, sat in the front row, her nod encouraging as I began, my voice steady despite the butterflies in my stomach. "Rose Harper left me her lavender farm and apothecary, a legacy she built with love and hard work," I said, holding up a journal, "but my parents, who abandoned me at 10, want to take it." I played the video, Rose's voice filling the room, her words clear. "Beth and Carl will try to manipulate Anna, but the farm is hers. The town will stand with her." Gasps rippled through the crowd as I read journal entries detailing Carl's $15,000 loan scam and Beth's fake cancer plea for $30,000. Locals whispered, some shaking their heads, others clapping as I finished. "Rose trusted me to protect this, and I'm asking for your support." The room erupted in applause, Clara standing first, followed by dozens of familiar faces, their cheers a wall against my parents' lies. Sam squeezed my hand, his smile proud as I stepped down. Knowing that town support was my greatest weapon, but wondering what Beth and Carl would try next. By morning, Gazette's blog updated with Rose's video, now viral in our small town, comments flooding in. "Anna's our girl, Beth and Carl are frauds, and protect Rose's legacy." My phone buzzed with a text from Carl. "You're ruining us. Meet at the motel, noon, or we'll sue for defamation." I showed it to Margaret, who laughed. "They have no case, but let's record the meeting. They're desperate." Sam and I arrived at the motel. Deputy Tom parked discreetly nearby, his presence a quiet assurance as we knocked on Beth and Carl's door. Beth opened it, her eyes red, her voice pleading. "Anna, we're sorry. Let's settle this privately." Carl stood behind her, his face hard. "You're spreading lies. We'll drag you to court unless you share the farm." I hit record, my voice calm. "Rose's journals and video are public now. The town knows you abandoned me for 15 years. Beth's tears started again, but Carl's hand shot out, grabbing my arm. "You'll regret this, Anna. We're not leaving empty-handed." Tom stepped in, his voice firm. "Let her go. Carl, you're under arrest for violating the restraining order." Carl released me, his face pale as Tom cuffed him. Beth sobbing as she followed them to the patrol car, her pleas echoing in the motel lot. Sam pulled me close, his arms a shield as we watched them drive away. The journals still in my tote, their truth undeniable. Margaret met us at her office, her desk now piled with legal filings. Carl's facing charges for the violation and possible fraud. Beth's complicit but may cooperate to avoid jail. I nodded, my heart heavy with the loss of the parents I'd once hoped for, but light with Rose's trust in me. What's next? Sam asked, his hand warm in mine, the lavender scent clinging to his shirt from the farm. We keep the farm running, honor Rose's legacy, I said. Picturing the fields, the shop, the community that stood with me. Margaret smiled. Rose would be proud, Anna, but stay vigilant. They might try one last move. I clutched the journal, its pages a promise to fight on, knowing the battle wasn't over, but my resolve. Backed by Rose's love, and the town's support was unbreakable. Carl's arrest left a hollow quiet in the motel lot. The patrol car's red lights fading as it turned onto the highway. Beth's sobs echoing faintly in the crisp Vermont air. I stood with Sam, his arms still around me, the lavender scent on. His shirt mingling with the motel's stale coffee smell, grounding me as my heart raced. Rose's journal rested in my tote, its leather cover worn but warm. A reminder of her foresight and my resolve to protect her legacy. The town's support, sparked by the Gazette's viral post and the community center meeting, felt like a shield, but Margaret's warning rang in my ears. They might try one last move. Beth lingered by their rental car, her face crumpled, her hands twisting her purse as she glanced back at me, her eyes pleading for something I couldn't give. I clutched the journal tighter, its pages heavy with evidence of their greed, knowing this wasn't over. Sam squeezed my shoulder, his voice low. Anna, you've got this, but we need to stay sharp. Whatever Beth was planning, I'd face it with Rose's strength and the town's loyalty. Ready to end this fight for good? Back at the Willow Inn, I spread Rose's journals across the room's small table, their pages illuminated by the flickering lamp, each entry a weapon against my parents' lies. Sam sat beside me, his calloused hands flipping through a journal from when I was 12. Detailing Beth's attempt to borrow $20,000 for a non-existent surgery. They never stopped, Anna, he said, his voice thick with disgust. Rose caught every move, even their calls to your school, pretending to be concerned parents. My phone buzzed with a new voicemail from Beth. Her voice shaky but calculated. Anna, please, Carl's in jail. I'm alone. Meet me tomorrow at the diner, 10 a.m. Let's fix this. I deleted it, my fingers steady, but my chest ached for the 10-year-old who'd waited for her mother's return. Margaret called, her tone brisk. Carl's facing charges for fraud and violating the restraining order. Beth's not charged yet, but she's desperate. Don't meet her without me. I nodded, though she couldn't see, and agreed to his strategy. Session at her office, knowing Rose's video and journals, would be our key to ending this. Sam looked at me, his brown eyes steady. We'll protect the farm. Anna Rose made sure you're not alone. The next morning, I drove to Margaret's office, the Vermont hills rolling past, their golden hues a stark contrast to the storm, brewing inside me. Her office smelled of old books and fresh ink, the shelves a fortress of knowledge that felt like Rose's presence. Margaret had the video queued on her laptop, Rose's voice steady as she warned of Beth and Carl's manipulation. Her words a call to action. Trust the town, Anna. They'll stand with you. She pulled out a new file, labeled Trust Fund Contingencies, detailing the $1.5 million account Rose had hidden, with instructions to use it for legal defense if my parents challenged the inheritance. Beth's been calling. Locals claiming you forged the adoption papers, Margaret said, her pen tapping the desk. We'll counter with a public affidavit from the adoption judge. I nodded, my resolve hardening as I pictured the lavender fields, their purple. Rose mine to protect. Let's file the affidavit and release more journal entries. I said, the town needs to know everything. Margaret smiled, her eyes sharp. Rose would be proud. Anna will bury them in truth. By noon, Margaret had filed the affidavit. With Judge Clara Evans, who'd overseen my adoption at 15, confirming Rose's legal guardianship and my status as her daughter. The Gazette published it online, alongside excerpts from Rose's journals, detailing Carl's $15,000 scam and Beth's fake medical claims. The comments section exploding with support. Anna's our own. Beth and Carl are liars. I drove to the diner, Sam at my side. Deputy Tom parked across the street, his patrol car a quiet assurance as we entered. Beth sat in a corner booth, her hair disheveled, her eyes red but calculating, no trace of the mother I'd once known. "Anna, thank you for coming," she said, her voice trembling. "Carl's gone too far. I want to help you now." Sam's hand tensed in mine, his skepticism mirroring my own as I hit record on the device in my pocket. "Beth, you demanded the farm? Lied about guardianship? What's changed?" I asked, my voice calm but firm. She leaned forward, her hands shaking. "I was wrong. Anna, let me prove it. Give me a share of the farm and I'll testify against Carl." I studied her, the woman who'd left me with a note at 10, now bargaining with Rose's legacy like it was a pawn shop trinket. "You knew where I was for 15 years, I said, my voice steady. "You only came back when Rose died. You don't get a share." Beth's tears started, her voice rising. "I was depressed, Anna. I couldn't be a mother, but I'm here now. Family deserves a chance." Sam's jaw tightened, his voice low. "Family shows up. Beth, not just when. There's land to claim." Deputy Tom appeared at the booth, his badge glinting. "Mrs. Winters, you're violating the restraining order. Step outside." Beth's face paled, her tears stopping abruptly as she stood, her purse slipping to the floor. "Anna, please, don't do this," she begged, but I shook my head. Rose's journal in my tote, a reminder of her warning. They'll use guilt. Don't let them win. Tom escorted her out, the diner's patrons watching. Their whispers a chorus of support as I sat back, my heart heavy but resolute. The next day, Margaret called with news. Beth had been charged with violating the restraining order, and Carl's fraud case was expanding with evidence of a $20,000 loan scam from Rose's journals. "They're meeting with a lawyer, Anna," she said, "but their case is weak. Rose's documentation is airtight." I drove to the farm, the lavender fields glowing under the afternoon sun, their scent calming my nerves as I unlocked the shop. Inside, the air was thick with Rose's presence. The glass jars of salves and soaps lined up like soldiers. Her recipe book open on the counter where we'd blended oils together. Sam joined me, his hands dusty from the barn. "The town's planning a rally for you, Anna. Tomorrow at the community center, they want to honor Rose's legacy." I nodded, my eyes on the fields, their purple rose a testament to Rose's love, her trust in me to keep them safe. "Let's open the shop tomorrow," I said. "Show everyone we're still here, still fighting." Sam smiled, his hand brushing mine. "Rose would love that, Anna. We'll make her proud." The rally was a sea of familiar faces. Locals crowding the community center with signs, reading "Save Rose's Farm" and "Anna's Our Heart." Clara, the postmistress, took the stage first, her voice clear. "Rose Harper built this farm with love, and Anna's keeping that alive. We won't let liars take it." I stepped up, holding Rose's journal, my voice steady despite the lump in my throat. "My parents abandoned me at 10. But Rose gave me a home, a purpose, and this farm. They want it, but it's mine." The crowd cheered, their applause a wave of support as I played Rose's video again, her words echoing. "Anna's my daughter. The farm is hers. Trust the town." Journal entries followed, read aloud by Sam, detailing Beth's $30,000 lie and Carl's gambling debts, the crowd gasping at each revelation. Margaret stood beside me, her presence a legal fortress. Rose's adoption of Anna is binding. Beth and Carl have no claim. We're filing fraud charges based on their actions. The room erupted again, locals pledging to boycott any business. Tied to my parents, their loyalty a shield I hadn't expected. As I stepped down, Clara hugged me, her eyes misty. "We're your family now. Anna Rose knew we'd stand with you." By evening, the Gazette reported the rally with photos of the crowd and quotes from locals. The comment section now a wall of support. "Anna's one of us. Beth and Carl are done." My phone stayed quiet. No new voicemails from Beth or Carl. Their silence a sign they were running out of moves. Margaret called, her voice triumphant. "Carl's lawyer wants a plea deal. He'll admit to fraud if we drop the restraining order charges. Beth's cooperating to avoid jail." I sat on the inn's bed, the journal open in my lap. Rose's words a guide. "Protect yourself, Anna, but choose what feels right." "Let Beth go," I said. "But Carl faces the full charges. He planned this." Margaret agreed. "Beth's testimony will seal Carl's case. He's looking at 3 years, maybe more." Sam sat beside me, his hand warm in mine. "You're doing right by Rose, Anna. But what about you?" I looked at the photo of Rose and me in the fields. Her smile, my anchor. "I'm keeping the farm, Sam. Building something new." The next week, I reopened Rose's Apothecary, the shop buzzing with customers. Their faces familiar from the rally, their purchases a quiet vote of confidence. Clara stopped by, bringing a homemade pie. "The town's proud of you, Anna. We're spreading the word about your lavender oils." I thanked her, my hands busy packing sachets, the scent of lavender filling the air like Rose's presence. Sam worked the barn sorting bundles for a new online store we'd launched, using $10,000 from the trust fund to modernize without losing Rose's touch. Margaret sent updates. Carl's trial was set for next month, with Rose's. Journals and Beth's testimony ensuring a conviction. Beth had moved to a nearby town working at a gas station. Her letters to me short but apologetic, no longer demanding money. I kept them in a drawer, unopened but not discarded, unsure if I'd ever respond. The farm felt alive again, its fields vibrant, its shop a beacon of Rose's legacy, mine to carry forward. Months passed, the farm thriving under my care. The $1.5 million trust fund untouched except for legal fees and the online store. I hired 2 locals, trained by Rose years ago. Their hands quick with her recipes, their stories of her filling the shop with warmth. The community center hosted a lavender festival, funded by $20,000 from the trust, drawing tourists. And locals alike, the fields packed with laughter and purple blooms. Sam and I worked side by side, his steady presence a reminder of the family I'd chosen, not born into. Margaret called with final news. Carl was sentenced to 3 years for fraud. Gambling history a factor in the judge's ruling. Beth sent a final letter admitting her role, asking for coffee someday. "No strings, Anna, just a chance to talk." I agreed to meet her, setting boundaries Rose would approve. Our conversation at the diner, quiet but honest. A step toward closure, not reconciliation. The farm's success and the town's support were my true inheritance. Rose's love woven into every row, every jar. Every choice I made. The festival marked a turning point. The town's embrace a healing balm for the wounds Beth and Carl had left. I stood in the fields, the sun setting over the purple rose. Sam's hand in mine as we watched kids run through the lavender, their laughter echoing Rose's joy. Clara approached, her pie plate empty. "You've made Rose proud, Anna. This farm's stronger than ever." I nodded, my eyes on the horizon. The journal in my tote, a reminder of Rose's words. "Family is who shows up. Anna, not who claims you for gain." I built a life here, not just a business, with Sam, the town, and the legacy Rose entrusted to me. Beth's letters sat unanswered, but I left the door open, a choice Rose would understand. Her lessons of strength and boundaries guiding me. The apothecary's bell chimed as a customer entered, pulling me back to the present. my hands ready to pack another order, my heart full of Rose's love. Have you ever had to fight for what's yours against those who should have loved you? Share your stories in the comments on Total Revenge. Then if this resonated, like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to see justice served. Thank you for joining me. I wish you the strength to protect your legacy, no matter who tries to claim it.